So it is official, I have just signed up for the Northeast Regionals. So in the USAPL you have local level meets, which is what I did. You don't have to qualify to compete in them, you get a lot of beginners in them, you get lifters of all different levels in them. Then you have nationals, everybody competing to become the best in the country obviously. And then the winner of nationals, they qualify for worlds, which is where all the countries compete to see who's the best in the world. That's the pinnacle, that's the top of the top. So regionals is one step below nationals, but it's one step above local. So it's gonna be a good ass challenge. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of monsters competing in this thing. For me, it's just really good incentive and motivation to make sure I stay on top of my training, just to keep the focus nice and high and really get my numbers way up there over the summer. So that is August 16th, 2017 in Marlborough, Massachusetts, and I'm all signed up. I got the official okay from Coach BG, and he's even gonna formulate a special plan to really hammer home my bench and especially my poverty deadlift. Also, got Sean Noriega locked in as my attempt selector yet again.
It is Thursday, it's been 4 days since my meet officially. I've been resting and deloading, haven't touched a barbell. The one area I did leave a lot in the tank for though was my bench press. You guys all said it to me. Going into this meet, I was so unconfident about my bench press. Like, I've always had crappy bench sessions in meets, and I've always been naturally a weak bencher. So going into this meet, everyone was telling me I had at least like 363 going into it. Brett Gibbs said that, Sean Noriega said it. Dan Mackler, who's trained with me a bunch of times, even said I possibly had like 373 going into it. And I was like, no way to all of them. I had only ever benched 336 in a meet. I always crapped the bed at meets. So I literally going into this meet, I was gonna be happy if I could just break 343, because that I've never hit that weight before. I ended up surprising myself, 343 moved, and then I hit 353, and that moved a lot more in the tank too. And I'm not even mad that I underestimated myself. I'm excited, I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'm pleased. I'm just happy to see that, holy crap, I actually have my bench down where I can do it well in the meet. So, because I didn't max myself out on the bench, I really didn't need to deload that one too hard. My chest feels pretty good and fresh. Wanted to hit a PR today. I wanted to put Dan Mackler's test to theory and see if I could hit around that 370-ish mark with a full-on competition pause. One, two. Come on.
Oh, let's go. Easy, man. Shit, dude.
Man, that was easy.
Fucking A.
Holy shit, that was easy. Nice little PR right there. With a touch and go or even like a faster pause, I'm curious what I would have in me, but that's fine. Gonna leave the ego at the door, gonna leave some in the tank, and I think that was like an awesome clean max for a clean, crisp competition pause, 370 pounds. Moved on to the slingshot just for fun, worked up to 385 for a single, nothing new there. SPF slingshot edition, boy. I really thought that was 20. Dan says it was 19.
I mean, I was loosely counting. It might have been 20. I just gotta give him a hard time.
We always had this debate because everyone knows I can't count. Shit, it was 19. I just played it back. Dan was right. Damn it, I still can't count. What's crazy though is like, I think my personal best ever, fresh with 225, was like 21, 22 reps. It wasn't over 25 reps. And I just banged out almost 20 after maxing out and then hit some slingshot. So I'm curious what I could hit fresh on that. I want you guys to start commenting on everything in the comments below, on my Instagram posts, hashtag Nick Can't Count. Really lay it in there. And this will get me to finally start counting correctly, I think, I hope. A goal of mine is to really focus on shoulders this year, obviously because I need bigger shoulders in general, but especially for bench health. I think it's important to keep your shoulders strong and healthy for obviously a safe bench. Face pulls are one of my favorite movements for keeping your bench strong, healthy, and safe shoulder-wise. The movement is not only good for development, it works your rear delts, it works your side delts really well, but it's also really good for rotator cuff health and strengthening because you get a huge variety of range of motion with your rotator cuff in that movement in a very safe way. So love face pulls for shoulder strength and health.
If you follow me on Snapchat or Instagram, you know what late night means. It means deliciousness time. It means delicious fruit punch, best BCAAs. It means the ice tray's out. It means it's the nighttime, pre-bedtime, routine time. If you don't follow me on Snapchat, you're probably thinking I'm weird now. Forgot to mention my Snapchat is NWB401 for those that care. And Instagram, something you should follow me on. It's at NickWrightNWB. And I post a lot of good stuff in the stories all the time. Sometimes I post full-on workouts that I don't show on YouTube on the story.
All right, last day of dicking around with Dan Mac, and next week we start real programming. I'm excited. Brett has a plan to really get my deadlift up. My deadlift is my most frustrating lift. I hate my deadlift. I'm ashamed of my deadlift. I need to be pulling in the 600s by now, so I'm gonna focus really, really hard on getting that deadlift up and use all stiff bars throughout my training leading up to regionals. Today, I had a little bit of fun with Dan, just using the deadlift bar, just this one and only time, just for fun, and was gonna pull up to work up to a heavy single, and if I was feeling good for a PR, I was gonna work up to 600 pounds, but as soon as I started getting heavy, I knew that was not in the cards, which it should not be, because I just had a meet. Just wanted to have some fun, doing a little bit of box squats now, very light, just to keep the legs warm. Excited to start programming for real next week. Told you guys to ask me questions about your first meet on Twitter. I'm not a pro, I'm not a seasoned vet. I've only done 4 local meets, but that's still 4 meets. So if you're heading to your first meet, any questions that I can answer, I want to answer. So I asked you to ask them on Twitter at NickWrightNWB, and I'm gonna answer them now.
All right, family, time to get to your questions on Twitter. And I wanna keep doing this, so guys, if you ever have a question that you want answered on video, just hashtag NWB. 3 letters, so it's nice and short, so you can fit as much of your question as possible. But at me on Twitter. I try to respond to all tweets in general anyway, so it's really unlikely that I'd ever miss it anyway. But if you want it to be used in the video, just hashtag NWB, either at the beginning or the end of the tweet. I don't care. I'll see the hashtag, I know, okay, that's a question they want answered on video, and I'll try to bang it out in the end of the next video. Do you worry about the other competitors or about beating your last total? I personally just worry about my total and that's it. And I personally think that if you're on a local level, that's all you should really be focusing on. I think the only time you should worry about other competitors is if you're actually like competitive on a national level, going for like the national title or going for like the world title and you're battling out. Then you would want to worry about obviously what the other competitors doing, what their attempt selections are, what attempts you would have to do to beat them. Then it can get pretty competitive. A good example, if you go and watch 2016 Worlds, if you watch Brett Gibbs versus John Hack, that was a lot of back and forth between those two, and that's very strategic. But at a local level, it really doesn't matter because you can go to a local level meet, especially if it's like your first meet, and you might have the first place guy be like a Sean Noriega totaling 1,600 plus in the 183 class. The second place guy might be somebody who's brand new at lifting and only total 1,300. You know, and then the other guys in the class might all be even newer than him. So it's like the range, it could be all over the place. You get a bunch of new guys, you might get a couple of random beasts that surprise you. It's really not worth worrying about. I personally just try to focus on going 9 for 9 and hitting as many PRs as I can while still going 9 for 9. It's important. How did you go about getting ready for your first meet, thinking about competing this upcoming year? I actually have a series on my first meet. I think it was my first meet. It might have been my second meet, but I think it was my first meet. Road to Strength, if you go and find that on my channel. But really, man, it's just a matter of finding a good program that's gonna allow you to peak properly. And if you're worried about a weight class, just maintaining your weight and then peaking properly. That's it. There's not a whole lot that really goes into it. You want to make sure your mobility's up, obviously, to an extent. I foam roll a lot as I get closer to a meet. I've heard other people, like even Brett says, to do the opposite because the looser you get, the more injury you can get when you're using maximal loads, which I also understand too. You just gotta find what your body responds to. If you wanna do a meet but are ultra competitive, would it be better to wait for a few months and get stronger or just do the closest one? When you say ultra competitive, I'm assuming you mean like mentally you are an ultra competitive person. I assume you're not asking like if you are actually competitive numbers wise, because then obviously you should just do whatever meet qualifies you for nationals and just try going for nationals. But if you just mean mentally competitive, there's a balance there. Like if you really are not confident, if you're not feeling good about your numbers, then you should wait a little bit, I think, because you want to at least feel happy with your numbers at the end of the day of a meet, you know what I mean? But at the same time, don't wait too long, because I know from experience, if you're a really competitive person, you'll never be happy with yourself or your numbers ever. Like it just won't happen. So if you just stick to waiting until you're happy with your numbers before you step onto a platform, you're going to be waiting forever and you're never going to let yourself do a meet. So if you're at all just happy with your strength in general, like obviously none of us are happy with our strength. We always want to get stronger, but you know, if you're feeling pretty comfortable with your numbers and you're ready to take them onto the platform, do it. Jump into the nearest meet, man. Just force yourself, because it's a great experience. It's a lot of fun. And again, if you're competitive, the only way you're going to do better at a meet is by getting meet experience under your belt, because doing a meet is a lot different than doing like just PRs in the gym. There's a lot that goes into it when it comes to attempt selections, picking PRs that aren't going to drain you for the lifts ahead, trying to go 9 for 9, timing your warm-ups. There's just a whole lot that goes into it that's way different from PRing in the gym. So get the experience ASAP if you're comfortable with your lifts. Do a first meet prep vid from a newbie perspective and all that we would encounter. Strongly thinking about doing my first. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking for. I have a lot of meet videos, guys. Like, I mean, like a lot. Like, just type in questions you might have and keywords with my name attached to them, and you'll probably find videos covering most of it. Like, I've done videos covering what you should have in your gym bag. I've done videos showing how I like water load and water cut, what I eat after I weigh in. I've shown all that in my past meet videos. So if you have a more specific question, ask it on Twitter with the hashtag NWB, and I'll answer it in the future video. How do you get past what others think? Powerlifting isn't seen as something girls should do around here. Do you have people discouraging you? You just gotta not care what people think, man. That's it. Like, if you hold yourself back because it's not like cool to other people, you will never be happy. Like, period. Even on the smallest level of things. You got to do what you want to do. I mean, I got made fun of in high school so bad for wanting to bodybuild. I went to a very small high school, about 800 kids in it, really small. And obviously I was tiny. I was scrawny, 104 pounds. And the word got out really fast. It spread like wildfire in this small cliquey school that I was bodybuilding, and I became the joke of the school, man. Like, teachers were even ball busting me about it. Random girls would come up to me in line and be like, I heard you're bodybuilding. I think I'm bigger than you, no offense. And like, I go to parties, if I said anything small, like I'm tired, some drunk idiot would be like, oh, from what? Being up all night doing finger curls? You're gonna go show your nuts on stage? Because nobody really understood it. Especially, this is before social media was like a huge thing, so it was even more foreign back then. And I got made fun of bad for it, and a lot of it was like in that sarcastic ball busting way that friends do, but it doesn't matter. You get enough of that from all of your friends and all of your teachers, enough, it's gonna beat you down, man. It's negative, but I just ignored it, dude. I just wanted to do it. There's really no magical way to answer this. You just need to ignore them, dude. It's not something people like. Fuck them. Who cares? Don't live for their approval. If I want to look exactly like you, should I A, do only hypertrophy, B, do these power building kind of sessions, or C, put all my eggs in powerlifting? I would say if you want to get just like a physique in general that's strong and just kind of jacked-ish, do the power building stuff first. You want hypertrophy training in there, and obviously even heavy overloading of powerlifting is going to technically lead to hypertrophy, but the reason like I have big arms and stuff isn't from powerlifting. I had big arms from bodybuilding before that, so the good balance of both in there is probably your best option, especially if you're newer. That looks like all the questions that I got on Twitter. Wasn't that many actually. So guys, again, Nick Wright NWB is my Twitter. It's in the info box below, along with all my other social medias. Follow me on there, ask away. I'll do this again in the next video. I'm gonna leave off, since we're on the subject of powerlifting meet, I'm gonna leave off with one piece of advice that I learned from this last meet, and that is, guys, especially if you're natural, really stay conservative with peaking. Your peaking program is everything. I showed you guys the difference of my squat with 5 plates 3 weeks out and then versus like 1 week out, and how much faster the squat moved 1 week out, just because you're priming your body to get stronger gradually, and you want to be literally peaked. You want your strength to be at its peak the day of your meet. So that means you can't be going super heavy in training, grinding out reps quite frequent, like often during training. You're gonna, as they say, blow your load too early. You're gonna peak too early for it. You're gonna drain your CNS, and then you're gonna need to restart your cycle all over again. To give you a quick example, I squatted 535 in my meet, which is like a 20 pound PR. But leading up to the meet, I never once squatted. The heaviest I squatted the entire prep leading up to this meet was 505. And I only did that once. But stay conservative. Leave a lot in the tank. If you do RPE training and you're worried about undershooting, undershoot. It's way better than overshooting. Leave more in the tank. Safest way to go, especially when you're natty and we don't have the recovery that the non-natties have.
Nighttime, pre-bedtime, routine time. Put it over. Nighttime, pre-bedtime, routine time.
Ariana's always extra fiery whenever she gets home from wrestling practice. So if you've been following on Snap and stuff, Her and I have a debate going on. Her favorite flavor is the rainbow ice. And actually, that's Nick Ferraro's favorite flavor,
it's
too.
It's the best.
I love the fruit punch, though, man. I love the fruit punch. She just came up with the idea of mixing it with Sprite Zero, which is still 0 calories.
I'm a concoction-making genius.
And then Andrew Lovering just texted me and said, seltzer tastes really good with your flavor.
Really?
Yeah, so I haven't tried that either.
Yeah,
There's many options.
We thought of having it with Monster the other day too, but we just didn't get to make it.
When it comes to deliciousness time, there's many options.
And you know what time it is?
It's our nighttime,
pre-bedtime,
routine time.